So you are
Jimmy.
Jimmy.
I'm the drummer.
Right. How are you?
I'm good.
You good? Mm-hmm. You heard you have a bit of a bad time in your recording period? You weren't too good?
Yeah, that's water under the bridge for me now. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, the record was really hard to make, so but now it's done.
Yeah, I noticed I was reading an interview that Sammy's Dream was a very it's a big struggle for you, sort of emotionally.
Yeah, I think it was.
Apart from physical.
Well, the thing was, it was. You know, it's the whole thing where you have your whole life to write your first record, and then you have 2 years to write your second record.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that we weren't as prepared as we would like to be going into the recording process was really, really weighed heavy on everybody's mind because there were such high expectations for this record.
Uh-huh.
So that was just, I mean, everybody was in a constant, like, not necessarily a conscious, but a constant state of panic. You know what I mean? It's like, this record's got to be really good. We got to get it done on time. All this other crap. You know, 3/4 of it are written. The rest of it is got to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the record is really a good, accurate representation of life at that time for us.
Well, with that. Yeah, and so how much has the record changed you as people? I noticed that the 4 individuals went through it in different ways.
Well,
it's influenced you in different ways, one from the other.
Yeah, and I think that at the end of the day, the end result is, look, you know, this can be the worst time of your life, or it can be the best time of your life, and you know, the sooner you make up your mind what it's going to be, the less confused you're going to be. You know, it's like we realized that. I mean, maybe we weren't as optimistic until we finally heard the record done. You know, it was one of those "I'll believe it when I see it" things. Yeah. And then I think when we all sat down after taking a month off and listened to the record kind of objectively, I think we realized that, you know, look, you know, this is stupid. You know, we're letting petty things sway us and manipulate us in ways we don't want to be. And it's a great record. We're all really good friends, you know, in spite of everything. It would be very the ultimate self-destruction not to come together as a band and go promote this record, because it's exactly what we wanted to say to everybody. Okay, you take all this time and you take all this money to put down everything you've worked for in your life, and then, you know, to let some minor physical or minor emotional defeat stand in your way when you refuse to let anything else stand in your way, just seemed very redundant. And all of a sudden, at the culmination of the record, it all became very clear. You know, the final purpose became a little bit clearer. Like, okay, now I remember why I'm doing this. Now I know what I'm in love with. And now I know why I'm going to go on and appropriate this record. You know, as opposed to, God, this record's fucking killing me. I can't take it. You know, this is ridiculous. I'm gonna die. I'm having a nervous breakdown, or, you know, the rest of the band's, you know, fucked up, or whatever. I mean, the end result is the music, and when you finally realize that, it's a very reassuring thing. It's like, wow, there is a God, you know.
Yeah, you must have been quite under a certain amount of pressure, and even that, like things like the Melody Maker this week, you know, they say Dizzy is Nirvana. It's like, hey, you gotta be successful or else. It's like, hold on a minute.
yeah, it's, the thing is, here we are being touted as this, as this thing, and the reality of it is we were never a flag-toting band. We never walked around carrying our banners high or saying we're the greatest. It's other people in the industry and other people in journalism who have put these expectations on ourselves. I mean, granted that we're our worst critics, and our ultimate success or failure is a very internal thing, and we don't look at it in terms of, wow, this person's going to be disappointed, or our public is going to be disappointed if this record isn't huge. I mean, the important thing for us is that we're satisfied with the best record we could have made, and we can go out and tour on that record. Now, if the record does well, people are going to come back and say, well, you guys were supposed to be so big, and you guys were supposed to be this and that, and I'm just going to tell them, look, I never fucking said that, and nobody in the band ever said that. We never said that. We never said, we're going to be fucking huge. We never said, we've never said the word Nirvana, ever.
Yeah.
Never. And it's, so fuck all those people, because, the bottom line is, if you let things get in the way of your emotions, you're going to be a fucked up person, just like we were.
Yeah.
So.
But it's from what I've read around, it seems like Billy's got some kind of master plan. Like he was talking about sort of entering the mainstream and then sort of set the system and stuff like that.
Well,
so that seems to me like
but that's
have a bit more to it than.
But that's only in terms of honesty, I mean, upsetting the mainstream could be as easy as somebody who comes out there and is totally honest with themselves, as opposed to being some type of manipulative dummy who allows people to push them this way and that.
Yeah, I wanted to know what you meant by that.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what he means. I mean, what would destroy the system more than a band that went out there and didn't have to fucking rest on media laurels, a band that was an honest representation of itself and made music that people liked. I mean, that's a complete unheard of thing, There isn't how many bands are out there doing exactly what they fucking want and not swayed by anything and are completely successful? Not many. I mean, a lot of successful bands are,
Well, there's a lot of that. I agree with you.
There's a lot of bands that pretend they do.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of bands that, in pretending that they are honest, that's their whole shtick, But that's exactly what it is, a shtick,
Yeah.
The bottom line
but then
is,
again, it's difficult when you, when you get so much pressure around you. I mean, think of, I wouldn't like, maybe because of the money, but apart from that, I wouldn't like to be Kurt Cobain. It's like
absolutely not.
You can't walk around. Everybody's this. You put the foot in the wrong way, and they're like, they can't do anything.
Exactly.
There's so much pressure around you, and in a way, I think like Pearl Jam are kind of lucky because they don't seem to care. They seem to be away from all of that. They're not public figures as much as Cobain is. I don't know where you stand. If you are successful with this album in the same kind of way, where would you be?
Well, I can tell you where we won't be. I mean, we're not. Who knows? I've never been that big, and I can't honestly speak for those people because, even though the guys in Pearl Jam are really good friends of mine, and we talk all the time, I'm just. I really can't speak for them because I've never been in that position. I've never been in the position to where if I, was seen with somebody, it was going to be in the papers or whatever. But I can tell you from what I've experienced from this point on, a lot of it is I'm not real sure I want people to know that about me. I'm not real sure that I want people reading my mail. I mean, when you deliver a record, you're putting yourself on the line. It's like when it's like letting people read your love letters that you don't even know. Your most intimate thoughts and your most, maybe, everybody's made a fool out of themselves at some point in their life, maybe with a girl or with their parents or something. And to expose that to the public is a very dangerous personal thing. I mean, from what I've experienced of it so far, it's a very scary thing, it becomes easier and easier to see why people flip out and why people hate the media and why, because they're giving away secrets, they're giving away personal secrets about people.
Especially for a, not so much for you, because you don't write the lyrics, but for the singer or whoever writes the lyrics in the band, it is a kind of giving yourself away. It's sort of, you write that yourself, your thoughts, it's difficult to be so impersonal,
right,
that you don't give anything away.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
so the mere fact that you are in a band, you're already giving yourself, you're already giving yourself to the lions.
Exactly. I mean, that's the complete other side of the coin. I mean, it's pretty much a no-win situation, and that's and the end result is a lot of mania. There's a lot of mania in the artist industry, and there's a lot of self-destruction, and I mean, it becomes who am I living for? I mean, 2 years ago I was living for myself and trying to achieve something, and now all of a sudden, I'm questioning whether I'm doing this for myself or am I doing it to appropriate the success that I've achieved.
Mm-hmm. This is what you're questioning at this moment.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems pretty weird for me to be over here, to be in Europe for 2 weeks without any instruments.
Because you're doing an acoustic set on Sunday.
But that's it, and that's not what we are. We're not media whores, and we're not glamour people. We're not models. We're not fashion models. We're not great profound spokespeople.
Yeah. Well, the concerts must be kind of let off.
Oh, they're
for
absolutely.
You. I like the fact that you dressed up and got very silly last year at Reading in front of 20,000 people, whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was kind of...
It's just kind of a statement that says, look, it's
what he said it was.
It's some eventuality. It's some state of eventuality. It really doesn't matter what's going on or who's wearing what. It's make up your own mind if you like the music or not, because that's the bottom line. The bottom line is our songs.
I do think though that sometimes I call it pantomime, but I'm not sure whether it's the right word. Being silly, I would say, on stage does influence the music in a negative way. So my opinion, for example, of a band like Mudhoney is that they can have some excellent concerts, but sometimes they go too silly, too over the top, and they're awful. Okay, when the drummer ends up with his head upside down in one of the on his kit somewhere, and obviously he can't play anymore, and they start fooling around, and the drummer sings and the singer plays drums. It becomes so out of control that sometimes you question the music as well. See what I mean?
But the absurdity of that is, after a show like that, how many people have you heard go, "Wow, it was the greatest show I've ever seen"? People who aren't necessarily, as educated about music as maybe you and I are. But I'm not so sure that's a type of pandering, or if that's a type of, or if that's just another type of release for them. Like if that's just maybe a statement of the absurdity of the whole business in general, because great spokesmen, through history, have gone to great lengths to amass 20,000 people in one area to hear what they have to say, and it seems a little bit. It seems kind of too easy for a rock band to get up there and have 20,000 people up there, to listen to their message,
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's. I don't think that that Mudhoney, for instance, is a very pandering band. I think maybe that's just their way of saying, look, you people are so stupid you'll buy anything, you know. And here it is.
Yeah, I thought that as well.
And it's kind of,
I thought like,
and I agree, it's kind of insulting for people who won't buy everything. Like me, when I go to a show and see that, I'm like, whatever, you know, just play your fucking songs.
Yeah.
But I mean, for a lot of people, that's, you know.
That's exactly what I thought when I saw them doing that.
Yeah.
I thought, how can people appreciate this, like this? And they must be so dumb.
Right, it makes you want to get up on stage and go,
just,
look, you fucking stupid.
Just take everything, you know, you just piss on stage and they go, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes. Something you said before that you think your album is great. I agree.
Thank you.
I agree, not because I've digested it, because I only got the advanced tape yesterday afternoon.
Uh-huh.
I probably played it twice. You
Right.
can't digest an album and listen to it twice.
No.
But I like the fact that it's got a lot of space. It's not, you know, sometimes you get albums that are very claustrophobic.
Right.
You know, you might like them, but you get that sort of feeling of
I can't
you
put
know,
that
you're
on.
kind of uncomfortable.
Right.
You know, yours seems to have a lot of movement and sort of space to breathe. Must be quite good for a drummer to have that, because you can just.
Right. I mean, this is you know, this is my favorite thing to do. I mean, this is, you know, I'm very heavily influenced by jazz, and you know, as a music major in college, I've studied all my life. And for me, the Pumpkins really, I could really branch out, and I can really do pretty much whatever I want. If it, you know, on Disarmed, all I did was play chamber bells and timpani and some cymbal swells. But I mean, the main objective is there. It's, you know, I mean, as we go on and on and on, we're becoming bored with the two guitars, bass, and drums thing, and we're trying to. The idea with this record was, like, under no circumstances make Gish 2, you know, but under every circumstance, no matter what tools we used, to still manage to build the Pumpkin house, you know, to still give it the Pumpkin sound and still move songs in a Pumpkin type of way. And that's, I think, as the band matures and as the band goes on past this point, I think you'll see a lot more of that, a lot more of using different types of instruments to create the same type of sound. I mean, the best example I could give is like maybe like the Beatles. Maybe, I mean, anything the Beatles ever did, you could tell it was the Beatles. Mm-hmm. You know, yeah. No matter if they were all beating on pots and pans, you could still tell it was them. And that's kind of what we want. We're kind of looking for as much diversity as we can get from the music, without doing something that's not naturally us. Yeah. You know, because our signature sound comes from us being us, no matter what we're doing. Mm-hmm. So I mean, we always sound like us, and the only time we don't is when we try to play something unnatural, something that we would never play. Yeah. You know.
Well, you know, it's just, I do believe that from what I've read and what I've heard, that you're kind of different from the usual band. You know, the simple fact that you have, you know, Billy has got this thing that he wanted to be a girl, and you know, it sort of unbalances the whole thing in the band. You know, a lot of times you have one girl and three men. You know, the word macho does tend to come out.
Yeah.
You know, in your case, I don't think he would come out.
No, not at all.
I mean, it's more like sort of.
I mean, there's absolutely no sexism in this band at all.
Yeah.
You know, I think, which is a great thing, because I mean, I think everybody has equal respect for everybody, and we've managed, you know, to look beyond. I mean, it's really weird when somebody comes up to me and says, "Well, what's it like playing with a girl?" And I'd be like, "Well, I don't know. You know, I don't know what it's like to play with a girl. I know what it's like to play with Darcy, a human being. You know, I don't see her as like being the girl in the band. I see her as the bass player, and she, you know, that's what she does. She plays the bass, and it you know, at no point does her function as a woman or my function as a man come into play.
Yeah.
It's just at this point. It's,
Well,
it's a very.
I don't think they've ever asked the Talking Heads.
Yeah.
What's his name, the drummer?
Chris Franz.
Yeah, I don't think they ever asked him how it feels like to play with a woman.
Right, because she's an excellent player.
Yeah, you know, there was the technicality. You know, the band was they were such good players, musicians that nobody would even think like
Exactly.
of putting it on the sexiest level. You know.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I guess maybe to some people it's weird, you know, but it's. I grew up with women, you know. I'm the youngest of my family. I have 3 older sisters, so I don't have any chauvinism in me. You know, I used to get beat up by girls when I was a kid. You know, my older sisters used to beat me up. So, you know, I don't. You know, I just don't. I guess there's no like real like machismo in the band. You know, nobody like. Here, let me carry that for you. Or, you know, and everybody carries their own shit, you know. It's basically the way we look at it. And the personalities in the band are so different. I mean, we're all such different people. I mean, but we all have the music and the insecurity and the similar emotions.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is the way that we show them. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed you mentioned the word insecurity. It seems like that is a part of definitely of your
Oh, absolutely.
of yourselves. You know, the way you changed as people through the recording of the album from last time, etc., etc.
I mean, that comes from the absolute fear of self-failure. I mean, I'm not scared if somebody says your record sucks. That doesn't fucking bother me. But if I listen to it and go, man, that sucks, I'm scared to death of that. Because that's the worst thing that could happen to me, is if I allowed myself to make a bad record. Because it's, you know, it's like, you know, you wouldn't print something that you thought was crap. You know, you have, I mean...
sometimes you do interviews where the person you're talking to answered yes, no.
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean... But,
and then you're stuck. Because how do you make that interesting?
But you would never take an intelligent answer and put yes instead of the intelligent answer.
No, you wouldn't do that. But sometimes you ask an intelligent question and they don't say yes or no. And then you go, can you elaborate? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, I don't think you'll find it. I think pretty much everybody in this band loves to jabber.
Yeah. No, but you know, I've discovered a lot of rap artists. You know, unless you bring them on a conflictual level where they start talking about the ghetto, you know, the injustices of this world, etc. So if you're trying to talk about something else, it's like.
But that's. I don't know. I can't. You know, I can only speak for myself. There's a lot of people out there doing jobs who can't, you know, who don't know how to talk about their jobs because they don't know their jobs, and it's not only musicians. I mean, look at our government. You know, it's.
Dutch Vig said that he wanted to work with you again, and he did.
Yeah.
You have to wait for him, or
Butch totally prioritized us. Butch is very much, when we go into the studio, we've known Butch for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he did our second single, and everything we've done since then, except for a few B-sides, which we just did ourselves. But Butch is somebody that we know and we look at as a friend. I mean, the fact that he's a great producer has nothing to do with the fact that we talk on the phone all the time, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I mean, he's just a great person. He becomes, like the fifth member of the band in the studio. He just becomes the great buffer, the great diffuser when it's, instead of me saying, look, that part sounds kind of funny to me, and starting an argument, Butch will come in and say, look, that part sounds really weird, let's try something else. I mean, he knows everybody in the band on such a personal level, and he knows how to push our buttons. I mean, he knows how to get a good drum track out of me. And it was scary just because of the lack of preparation that went into this record, and all the loose ends that we had to tie when we got to the studio finally. There was no way we could even fathom working with somebody other than Butch, because that involves taking the first month of recording just to get to know somebody. And with Butch we could just go, hey, let's get to work, because we got a lot of shit to do.
Do you think that you were, how different would it have been for you, the whole experience of this album, if you weren't so fucked up when you were doing it? If you don't want to answer to this,
no, I've never been asked that, so give me a minute.
I mean, now that you're out of it, you must have looked back and thought that.
Oh, I look back now and think it's absolutely ridiculous, because I've never been a suicidal person ever in my life. I've never had any respect for anybody who's even thought about committing suicide. And now that I know, that it actually can happen to somebody like me, and you can put yourself in a position where, you think that death would be less agony than the continuation of your current state. I mean, it's a really sad thing. I think the album wouldn't be as special to me if I didn't go through that. I'm not saying that if I did it over again I would do it the same way. I probably definitely wouldn't. But what I am saying is, I think everything has a purpose, and everything happens for a reason. So I'm glad, I'm glad it turned out this way, and I'm glad I've got this to show for it. And I think if it happened any other way, it wouldn't be the Pumpkins. I just can't see it. I can't see I can't tell you what it would be like to have an album without dysfunction in the band. I honestly don't know.
Sounds like arguments and tensions are in your case quite constructive.
They are. They can be. I mean, they're a natural. I mean, if I need you to cry, and I can't. And I can't do it by telling you a sad story, then I'm going to punch you, or I'm going to burn you with a cigarette, whatever it takes, to get that emotion out of you. I mean, and with us, I think it's an internal thing. I think it's, look, whatever it takes for me to get these emotions out of myself and put them on this record, that's what I'm going to do. And, at some point you lose sight of that, and it just becomes a self-destructive game. Like, wow, I've seen it before. Everybody's got such great expectations, and people just throw it down the drain. Now, I can't, I want my chance to do that. I want to upset 1 million people. But I can't see. I just can't see it. I can't see the record without everybody losing their minds.
Yeah.
Not this record, anyway. I think now the next. I mean, just because of the state of mind the band was in going into the studio. Now the next record might be completely different. The next record, I might say, well, there's no way we could have made this record if we were in the state of mind we were for the last record.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always different. The next record could be.
Was it different from Gish?
Oh, absolutely.
The state of mind of the band. Apart from the fact that you had the ability, all your life to write the songs, etc., etc.
I think the main difference is, I think we had a little more apprehension when we made Gish, just because we had so many songs, and sometimes we would look at songs and go, that song, that song's pretty pop, or that song really sounds, heavy, too heavy. And so we found some type of border parameter for Gish, and I think the difference on this record is, okay, we've got these 23 songs. We're gonna pick the best 13 songs and put them on the fucking record, no matter what they sound like, because this is us.
So there was no borders.
No,
Framed.
no, there was no apprehension and no doubt as to what we were putting on the record. It was a matter of picking the best songs and putting them on the record without having any reservations as to whether they were too heavy or too soft. I mean, for us to put a song like Disarmed on Gish would have been totally frightening, or even a song like Quiet or Cherub Rock.
Yeah.
Be like, oh my God, it's a rock song. That's not weird, But this album, it's like, lose your insecurities and say, wow, it's a great song, recognize it for what it is, and, and being naturally honest with yourself like that, it encourages and it builds better music.
Yeah, I'm sure you're considering how everybody is slightly unstable. Probably by the next time you will have changed your personality.
I'm sure.
In a way that it will sort of gel in a different way.
Right. Exactly. I mean,
something else.
right. It'll culminate in a different representation of the band, but as long as it's still the band, that's really what matters. If it's the happy Pumpkins, it doesn't matter. If it's the fucked Pumpkins, I don't care, as long as it's the Pumpkins. So.
How was the rest of the band relating to you when you were in trouble? I would say.
Well, it was hard to see at the time, but now I realize that everybody, especially Billy, because me and Billy, really challenge ourselves to really put out good records. Our playing on the record is like, it's got to be spot on. We're not taking any prisoners on the record. So I mean, the thing that kind of was like a drug addict's way of thinking is when you say, well, nobody said anything to me, so they must think it's cool,
Yeah.
But when in fact they were, I was totally disappointing those people, and they were, they were just either too good of friends of mine to say, they didn't want to hurt me, or they were too wrapped up in doing their own jobs that they didn't have time to mess with me. I mean, I can pretty much do my drum parts whether I'm fucked up out of my mind or not. But, I mean, the fact of the matter is the mental contribution of the record was lacking, and that was, for me not to be totally head and feet in the water with the rest of the band kind of made everybody distance themselves from me, and that didn't become apparent until we just sat down and had this talk. Like, look, you're being disrespectful. You're being disrespectful to me by allowing me to allow you to continue. By not taking the ball in your court and saying, look, why don't you slap me into some sense into me?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it was. So when we finally got together, I said, look, I don't know if it's obvious or not to you people, but I have a fucking problem. At that point it became, yeah, we know, it's obvious to us. So, I mean, it was a very beautiful thing for four people to come together like that. And we've done it with other members of the band too, not necessarily in that self-destructive of a manner, but other members of the band have gone their own way and had, various degrees of, egomania, or, just, I'd rather go out and have people, like me because I'm in the band, rather than actually be in the band and do my job. It becomes it becomes very easy to just to go out. I mean, to go out and be appreciated for the music that you made before, as opposed to busting your ass to try and make more of it. I mean, at some point it becomes easier just to go out and be acknowledged for the pumpkin you are, as opposed to going and continuing that process. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in that way, playing a live concert is a lot easier.
Right.
Go out and play what you know. You switch on the automatic pilot sometimes and you can just carry on.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean.
I mean, everybody gets lazy in their work, and that's basically what it comes down to. The bottom line is you get lazy, and look, I can still be in the band and fuck off, and people still like me, and girls still follow me around, and there's no difference,
Mm-hmm.
There's no difference between if I'm doing my job and if I'm not doing my job, because the public perception doesn't know.
Well, it's yourself who has to say where to draw the line and where
Right.
to do it.
And until you learn how to do that, you're pretty much, going down.
And if your state of mind is not quite together, then it becomes difficult to sort of
To
say,
put it
right.
in perspective.
Yeah, put it in perspective. Yeah, definitely. I don't know. Where are we? Nearly over the tape. Do you always do acoustic gigs? Or is something that they threw at you to keep you entertained?
It's something we love to do. I mean, we love to play acoustically. We like to. It's kind of another way to challenge ourselves to get the same things across in the song with using different tools. It's kind of another aspect of that. And I love to play to just a small group of people and have all the subtleties in the music and have the songs laid out bare naked in front of people and have them say, wow, even with 2 acoustic guitars and drums, it's still a good song. I mean, that's a real test. That's when you don't have 48 tracks of music blaring through your fucking stereo. When it's just the bare essentials and it's still a good song. That's a very beautiful thing. And we like to play acoustic because it's very relaxing for us. It's easy. It's it's not a lot of pomp and circumstance. It's.
Are you going to work a lot on trying to get those 48 channels to work live?
Absolutely.
Considering that this record has got probably a bit more of the
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot more studio trickery on this record. So yeah, it's definitely in the backs of our minds that it's going to be really hard to recreate this record live. But I mean, we'll do it. And the thing is, we won't. We'll never sell the song short. If there's obviously no way we can bring 40 strings on the stage to do Disarmed, we'll totally rewrite the arrangement and we'll make it a different song. We'll move it in the same way, but using what we have.
What if you can do it on an acoustic level?
Right.
You can do it.
I mean, that song started out on an acoustic guitar. It started out with just acoustic guitar and a floor tom.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it's going to be fun. I can't wait to go out and play this record live.
When are you going to?
I'm so sick of playing those songs on Gish. We toured for almost 2 years on that record.
Yeah, because they also re-released the album. So they probably asked you to come back. Last year at Reading, it was like,
yeah, it was
hey,
ridiculous.
the album is out again. Go and play.
Yeah, right.
It.
Yeah, go play that beast again. It's like, God, I'm so sick of playing those. Not that they're not great songs. It's just, how many times can you eat ice cream? You might love it.
Yeah.
But I mean, eventually it's gonna be like, God damn, man, I want a fucking hamburger or something.
Diet on ice cream it can be kind of sort of boring. Well, I'll see you on Sunday night then.
Excellent.